Good morning. Happy Saturday. I'd like to start this off with a plea that somebody find me or download a copy of the James Springer Fort Huachuca, the government's response to James Freeman's motion to dismiss. That is up on Pacer if you have free downloads available, or if you're willing to spend the 15 cents a page. I am looking to do an analysis of it, so maybe you'll get a return on your investment. So if someone can get that for me, I would appreciate it. I bring this up, James Freeman comes to mind, because James Freeman is in Mount Rushmore National Park, or was, and he saw free speech zone markers. And he's wanting to exercise his free speech, and he may do it in the zone and he may not do it in the zone. And I figured it would be helpful to kind of know what he's working with. Let me just state for the record that I'm not a fan of free speech zones. I don't like them. I'm not going to say they're unconstitutional. I'm just going to say that generally I think they're abused. Free speech zones are based on the traditional public forum analysis, where any speech regulations in the traditional public forum are subject to strict scrutiny unless they fall into time, place, or manner restrictions. Reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. A reasonable time, place, and manner restriction has to be narrowly tailored to serve a significant or important government interest. It has to be content neutral. And this is the big one for free speech zones. It has to leave open ample alternative channels for communication. Now, as far as free speech zones are concerned, the courts have upheld free speech zones on all the occasions that I can think of. There is a requirement that the free speech zone be within eyeshot and earshot of the target audience, but that doesn't always seem to be followed through, and that's kind of sad. Anyway, so the Congress has authorized the parks to take this kind of actions, these kind of actions. You can see it in 36 CFR, I'm going to say 2.51. I'm probably close, but I don't know exactly where in 36 CFR it is. And there is a punishment for violating it for demonstrations outside of the free speech zones. And that's up to 6 months in jail plus fines, or fines, I should say. It's the jail time that's the big deal. The fines aren't that steep, if I remember correct. And the government has kind of narrowed down in 36 CFR 2.5-ish, 2.51. The demonstrations are talking about, it's one or more persons. So, if James does it by himself, then he meets the restrictive qualities of the number of people, but it has to be things that are like picketing or marching or speech making, things that are likely to be disruptive and draw a crowd. So filming probably won't be relegated to the free speech zone. So if James really does want to go challenge them, and somebody should probably remind him that it won't be cheap to challenge it. But if James does want to go challenge it, I think that would be a great place to start. I don't think very much of his chances of success, but I think it'd be a great place to start. Now, is there a significant or important government interest in regulating picketing or marching or speech making in a national park? The answer to that question is yes, there is. People go to the parks not to see political rallies, generally speaking, or political demonstrations. They go there for the peace and quiet, for the communing with nature, you know, getting away from all the sights and sounds of the big city and the turbulence, and they go for peace, right? Generally speaking, unless you go to a lake and there's an asshole with a sea-doo. Anyway, hate those bastards. So there is a significant or important government interest. Is it narrowly tailored? Is making free speech zones, is that narrowly tailored to achieve that significant or important government interest? And yeah, it is. I mean, it is only targeting the speech that's going to, you know, cause a disruption, to draw a crowd. Is it content neutral? Yeah, I mean, they don't care what you're talking about. I mean, you could be talking about abortion, or you could be talking about Keep Tahoe Blue. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. If you're picketing or marching or speech making, you get to go to the free speech zone. And finally, does it leave open ample alternative channels for communication? Well, as long as they keep you inside of the target audience and earshot of the target audience, they're okay. If you look at where that free speech zone was, it seemed like there were a lot of people there. I'm going to guess that it is probably ample alternative channels for communication. They don't have to put you exactly where they want you to, or where you want to be. They can move you. There's a lot of case law on abortion protesters trying to protest right in front of the entrances to abortion clinics. State laws have, you know, put buffer zones around them, and as long as the buffer zone isn't too big, generally speaking, it's been upheld. So yeah, you don't get to be necessarily exactly where you want to be. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Mr. Freeman, both in the Fort Huachuca case and in his endeavors. I do want to point out that he slipped up. He started off calling the presidents carved into Mount Rushmore, he called them masters, and then he slipped into, aren't these guys supposed to be symbols of freedom? And I don't know about you, but I don't think of a master as a symbol of freedom. And only Sovsits think of presidents as masters because they're pretty toothless, generally speaking. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and have a great Saturday.